Well, good evening, everyone. This is a bit weird, isn't it? I can tell you that Caller is in the green room still sorting out. I don't know, maybe he's left his flyers open or something, but he's sorting something. And so we're going to start the show without him. There's 33 people watching, so thanks for waiting for us to get going. But while we wait for Caller to do whatever he needs to do, and before we get to the cheesies, we figured that we'd start with a little, we have a manager celebration. So before we do that, let's go and say hello to the two wonderful guests, the brains of the operation, the hairier two of the three of us, Dave from Sydney. It's very dark in Sydney, Dave. Just say hello for us, please.
Hello, please.
No, hello for
How
us.
are you?
I gave you 4 words to say and you couldn't even do that. Dave, it's
No.
good to have you back on the show. And, where are you, Jack, again? I forget. Jack, tell us a bit more about yourself.
I wish I was in Vienna or somewhere in Austria. Ich wünsche in Österreich bin, aber ich bin in Brooklyn. So, yeah,
Brokeler. The original Brokeler. Like Hans van
yeah.
Brokeler. Did you know that, Dave?
Yes.
Yeah. Brooklyn
What I-
and Brokeler. Yeah. It's good knowledge.
What
for
I
you
don't
to
like
start
about
the
New York, what I don't like about New York HG is that it was settled by the Dutch, which means they're very used to, knowing how to deal with the swamps and sort of, anything that's below sea level pretty much. So at this moment in time, when we're reaching the summer, New York becomes one of the most humid places, I feel like, on Earth. So I'm looking forward to the air becoming very heavy, and it's something that the Dutch maybe didn't anticipate when they came over, to this part of the
there
United
are lots of
States.
things
It's a
that
little
could be-
bit more hot and a little
Yeah.
bit more humid.
Yeah. Holland is not the most humid place. But anyway, we don't need to talk about that. Yeah, Kerry, you thought you were late, but we are here to make you feel better about yourself. That is the point of this show. And so well done. Jack, Jack, what is your channel?
Find me over on the Irish Hotspur. I know I'm not Irish, but there is another person that you'll see often alongside me whose name is also David Harris that happens to be Irish.
There you go. So many Harrises. Right, well, let's get talking about Ange. All right, let's get talking about Ange, because it's pretty good. I feel pretty good. I mean, I don't want to be JP for the evening and be the super enthusiastic, I can't believe this is happening, my guy is coming to Spurs, man. But, DaveO, you are in Australia. How has the news gone down over there?
It's all over the news. People coming up to me in the street, obviously recognising me from the cheese room and other such fame, and going, DaveO, what's this about Big Ange? And we have a good chat. Australia are on the Ange train, Tottenham are on the Australia train. It's all good. Obviously this is the highest coaching position an Australian coach has ever attained. So it's really good news from that point of view, really good for the game over here. And I think it sets it up nicely for when Tottenham, when the ENIC private jet lands at Perth Airport in July. And, there's Ange at the airport waiting to greet them like Sonny did in South Korea this time last year. It's going to be beautiful.
I think that the players are already deciding that they don't want to sit next to Ange on the flight over. So they're hoping that is true, that he will be there waiting for them at Perth. Dave, are you going to go to Perth? See the guys?
It's a mere 5-7 hours flight up the road, $3,000 for a ticket, and unfortunately I'm moving that week, so I won't be able to make it, I'm afraid. I did go and see Tottenham play in Melbourne a few years ago, and also in Sydney as well. So they just need to get down to Sydney, where life is civil.
Perth is going to be lit, as the kids say, by the looks of things.
For the first time.
Right, but you're happy with the appointment, DaveO?
Yeah, no, I am. I was genuinely, I was disappointed about Slot and not getting Slot, because my logic was what we want to get is a pre-Poch kind of an appointment. We need someone to come in, have some charisma, which, as you know, I ooze, and bring the club, the fan base all together, and we need that. I think that he will come into it with a fresh pair of eyes. There won't be any sacred cows. He decides who's going, and he's deciding who's staying, and that's the way it works. And that's what we need to do on that. So he's going to play attractive football. Obviously Levy in the statement says that he's devoted to youth development, and a little bit of a sly dig at Mourinho and Conte, but we knew that about them anyway, so why appoint them, Daniel? But that's another story for another time. So no, I think it's good news. Look, you can play attractive football, and as a fan base, we've got to be patient. We've got to be unified. We've got to all come together in perfect harmony.
That song came out before Jack was born, Dave, so I'm the only one who's going to know that. but hopefully not the only one who's watching. But 56 of you now. Please hit the like button. That's almost professional, HG. What are you doing? Jack, obviously, being, you've seen the brilliance of AVB. You've seen the incredible Tim Sherwood era. What do you expect from Ange in charge of Spurs?
Yeah, I've been spoiled for choices, you could say, amongst, brilliant managers. But I would say what's weird about maybe me is that I'm slightly maybe a bit anti-Spurs fan, in that I actually really admired Antonio Conte and Jose Mourinho for a lot of things before they had come here. So maybe I was one of the few Spurs fans that actually was really excited about those guys coming here. But then obviously, for various reasons, clearly did not work out. I feel like with Ange, to be honest, all I'm hoping for is that this could be in some way Spurs going back to what they feel like maybe they're better at, like type of managers, like managers that maybe aren't the big names, aren't really the ones that will demand, certain things that might be above sort of Levy's either pedigree or just sort of Levy's just willingness to, just sort of give, up control. And then another thing too is that I feel like Ange is maybe what Spurs managers kind of should be, which is hungry to take on sort of a very difficult job. I don't think Spurs has ever really been an easy job, even when sort of Pochettino sort of left it behind, or when Jose took over, when Conte took over. I don't think it was ever really an easy job to be taking over from. So I feel like what we actually want is a guy that's not feeling like he's above the job, but a guy that's actually feeling like, he's willing to take on the challenge, willing to get his hands dirty. So it's almost like you're going into your kitchen, HG, and putting on the gloves, and you want somebody who's putting on the gloves that's pulling out the cleaning materials, that's actually going to be scrubbing hard and not, sort of scrubbing reluctantly. And I think Ange Postecoglou, at least to me, this is someone who really knows very little about him, but he seems like a guy that would be scrubbing hard at this sort of Spurs squad, this Spurs culture, this really Spurs everything that kind of needs to be sort of changed.
So you're saying that Ange is a scrubber?
I don't know what a scrubber is, so I'll refuse to comment.
I'll let you. Well, we'll do that back in the green room when we're shipping.
Make it a sacred cow.
Yeah, maybe not actually.
Yeah, but it's interesting. You talk about Spurs are still, despite the size of the club, we are still the underdog, right?
Yeah.
And Mourinho made this thing about being the underdog at Porto, and he made this thing about being the underdog at Chelsea. Even though Chelsea were the rich team that could go out and buy anyone, in his eyes, Man United and Arsenal were the big two, and so Chelsea were trying to join that group. And I feel like if you're going to have a manager that doesn't mind being the underdog, that's fine. But if they can only be the underdog with pots of money, you're in a problem. And Postecoglou is seemingly the kind who likes to bloody a few noses and has never had the money, really. Never had the ability to outspend everyone. Certainly didn't at Brisbane. Maybe had it at Melbourne a little bit, but by that point, you imagine people wanted to play for him. So it's just this idea that the Spurs manager is not even about wanting to be there, but just understanding the role. Like, we aren't going to outspend some teams in the Premier League. We aren't. We may have lots more money than we used to, but we're not going to outspend Man United. We're not going to outspend Man City, really, when it comes to these things. We don't have state-funded sponsorship deals to help the process. So, obviously, I'm excited. I want it to start started. I saw the little kind of video that Ange did. It was like a minute long that was released on Twitter earlier, and it felt very natural, like he wasn't reading from a script. And I started to think, well, when was I don't care that much, but when was the last time Spurs had a native English-speaking manager, someone that could use the language freely? And it's Sherwood, which is...
Do
you feel like, though...
Can he use the English language freely? I don't know about that.
Do you feel like though, HG, that maybe he had like in his own head, maybe a minute and a half before he could use the word proud, because he saw that Nuno, right, had ruined that word, with his previous sort of introduction meeting. So it felt like he at least waited a minute before he even used the word, we want to make you proud, sort of kind of a reference. But that was good to see.
Right? He wants to make us excited by the Spurs.
Yeah, he used excited. He
It's
used
like,
the thesaurus. The thesaurus was working hard for Ange that day.
It's like we were. I think we were a great football club, and then we were a fantastic football club. But I'm sure that had it gone another minute, would have been extraordinary. Would have been unique. Would have been all manner of adjectives. That was for my mum who's watching.
But what happened to the what happened to the good old press conference, right? When they turn up and they got the table and the mic. I know they got the press conference room. We had our photo taken with it when we did the tour of the NFL stadium last October, and it was, you got the world's press there, and he issues his statements, he answers questions. Levy's by his side, showing leadership that we all know that he has, and taking any questions from the world's press. That's what I miss, a good old press conference when you announce a manager.
Like a graduation, like Levy hands him his diploma, or like Levy hands him the Spurs shirt as he walks over to they do the picture with the Spurs shirt, then he does the press conference to the left. It's like a series of stages, all unfolding.
But the photo opportunity used to be, he holds, you go out the side of the pitch, he's got the scarf holds the scarf aloft above his head. That's how it used to be when tracksuits like this used to be worn de rigueur.
Yeah, so like it's a weird time. Like when he talked about going on holiday on Tuesday, I hope that didn't mean like on being a football manager for the rest of time. He's okay now. His early retirement starts now, but this idea that his job starts July the 1st. I mean, we saw that the video was recorded at Spurs. I'm assuming at the training ground, right? So he's obviously been there. And he may not have actually left on holiday on Tuesday like we were told. He could have easily just come down for 2 or 3 days, got to know everyone, got to know a few, not everyone because the players aren't there, but just got to see what he's going to be working with, because you'd imagine he hadn't seen that yet. But this idea that, no, his job starts July the 1st. You can ask him questions from July the 1st, and until then, he can just get on with it. And it's kind of nice that it wasn't this, we didn't have that big press conference where you're going to have journalists that they're not going to ask pleasant questions. They're not going to make it easy for. Well, they're not, are they? Because it's.
Well, that is the point of a free press, I believe. But anyway.
No, but the thing is, by the time July the 1st comes around, you'll have had 3 weeks, 4 weeks to prepare a bit more for it, rather than have this constant discussion. Maybe they would have asked questions about Celtic. Like, I'm assuming that the questions will be different on July the 1st than what they would have been this week, especially if Spurs make a couple of signings between now and then. So it will be more about Spurs and less about him, which I suspect he would like. So I'm not too fussed that there wasn't a press conference this week for him to really announce it. I was surprised to see the video today, but I should hope we're all excited that it's going to happen. Not as excited as I am to see Cooler right now.
Are we going to make you proud? Just drinking some mythos in in homage to the great man who has taken over. Look, I don't know if you've done this already, but here he is holding the shirt.
There we go.
There we go.
Confirmation.
There we go.
That is
I'm
quite
here.
a big
Sorry,
shirt,
I'm late.
Isn't it?
Hey?
That is quite a big shirt. Double X? Triple XL?
He's a big guy.
I know.
He's
but
a big guy.
I don't expect him to hold up a baby shirt, but still.
It would be funny if he held up a shirt that didn't fit him. It would be funny if he did help.
No, I like the idea of the baby growth thing. Like, it's holding up like that. That's all they can find. It's like that. We haven't got the new kit. There you go.
Latest bookies odds. Tottenham to win no trophies in the season. 1 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
Finish in the top 6, 6-5. Finish above Chelsea, 11-8. Not to be Tottenham manager on the first game of Premier League next season, 7-4.
That's harsh.
And not to be Tottenham manager on the final game of the season, 5-2. I reckon those odds are worth taking, to be honest.
Hang on a second. They're both that one and the one underneath it. So he's either not going to be manager is 5-2, or he's going to finish above Arsenal is 5-2. Do you get the impression they don't really know what's going to happen? They're just going to put the same odds on whatever. They don't know
what's going to happen. And top 4's 3-1. You know, so Who knows?
What about if you put an accumulator on, and I bet on that we'll finish above Arsenal, but he
Yeah.
still won't be manager at the start of next season? What will that get me?
Well, you'd have to get over to a betting site. Many are available. Yeah, but there you go. There's more. I've got more. To lose to Chelsea home and away 4-1. This is brilliant, isn't it? Tottenham to win exactly one trophy, 13-2. Tottenham to be the top London club, 5-1. There's even one there not to be Tottenham manager, 25th of December. Yeah, so
So
John
you could definitely do the ambulance chaser accumulator and
You
just hit 3.
I feel like I'm being
with the,
incentivized to gamble.
we could call it a chaser. We haven't got an official partner, a betting partner, because we reject.
Because these
all
are
stuff
some of
like
these.
that.
I'm genuinely considering. I've never really placed sporting bets because I don't really like to do it. But some of these,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. I mean, that's like, I'll
Well, here's
take
one.
that.
Here's one for you, Jack. Tottenham to win the Premier League, FA Cup, and League Cup is 1,500-1. It's worth a quid. Yeah.
The manager. I mean, the Postecoglou. I will look ridiculous saying this now, but I do think he'll be the manager by the end of the season. I think Spurs are going to try their very best to steer away from any sort of like sacking manager within a season type of thing. Like we do not want to become Watford. And then the other thing is, I feel like Chelsea winning both home and away against us, that's not happening. I think no matter how good Pochettino's team look, I do feel like Postecoglou is going to look at that as like a big opportunity to sort of, win one over, maybe that guy. So
there you go. Odds on Winks being the new club captain, 5,000-1. Steve, shout out to Steve. Obviously, a channel member. You can get yours from our YouTube homepage. Support the Cheese Room today. Are the bottom the same bet? Probably, but blame the researcher, John. Sorry, you screwed up there potentially. Steve's a good fault finder. He's like my missus, really. Right, let's talk about this. Before we get onto the cheesies, which is what I know what you're all here for, right? You want to know the awards, which we've got locked and loaded. But let's talk about this. Harry Kane looking very alpha male there, DaveO. Does that make you slightly aroused, the sight of Harry looking like a lion on the big screen?
He looks more like a sulky teenager that's been dragged to his great auntie's 80th birthday party when he'd rather be out spray painting the local bus stop, to be honest.
Wow.
Look at him. He looks quite miserable about it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Is that a sign? Is that a sign that the world's me? Is he going? Is he leaving? He doesn't look happy.
I mean, he's featured very prominently in the kit launch, HG. Do you think this is a sign that Harold is going nowhere?
I couldn't care less. I mean, it's a sign that he's still employed by Spurs. Can I say that? I don't really know either way or care either way. I don't like the kit. If Kane
like the kit?
No, it's a t-shirt with a stain on each arm. I mean, it's been dropped.
It's a £120 t-shirt.
Yeah, if you're
or an
stupid enough to buy the elite one,
yes.
It's okay. It's a white t-shirt. I know with Spurs we can't do a great deal, but I liked the ones. Can I say this? I liked the ones that Under Armour did. I didn't mind the sash.
Yeah. I
quite liked the 16-17 with the panel up here that looked a bit like a sailor's. I didn't mind any of those, but last year's was woeful with the neon. We all know about the wetsuit. This white one it's a white t-shirt. I don't. I always like something around the neck to make it look a bit different, and that doesn't have it. So, and I don't like the paneling. Like it's. Yeah, don't get me started. I'm not a fan.
Well, the away kit might be for you. It's got a collar this year, apparently. So, you never know.
Yeah, no, I don't mind collars, but I mean, if it's true what I've seen, it's just a mismodge of everything. Like, there's no... Like, I was watching... I was watching Levante play. This is true. I was only watching it because I was waiting at the airport for my mum to land. But Levante played Albacete in some Spanish, like, Liga B, whatever it's called, playoff game. And the Levante... top was rocking. It was beautiful, and I'm just like I realise Spurs can't do a great deal with white and plain white, but they've got a few colours to play with. They could have done something more than This is the same kit as 2 seasons ago with blue around the arm. I mean, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, I quite like it actually, Jack. I don't think it's the worst kit we've had. It's not the best either, but it's all right.
I really don't like it.
It's
I
all
really
right.
don't like. No, I
You
really
don't
don't
like
like
it?
it. I think that 21-22 kit, that one where Nuno, started out as manager, and of course, Conte finished out the season. That season was one of the laziest kits I'd ever seen put together. I think Nike just put out, they didn't put any design on it other than their own logo. And then they've sort of followed up that season with, I actually think last year's kit, if anything, this might be a bit of a hot take, I think last year's kits, at least for the home kit, was Nike's best one, like, thus far, because at least it had some sort of like imagination to it. It had some sort of kind of design to it in some way. This one, I feel like it's just the same as that one season where it was just a plain white kit and they just slapped their logo on it. I guess they put some blue sleeves, but for me to really even notice any of the detail on the kit, I have to put on like reader's glasses or like whatever. Like, it just feels a bit, just for the priciest kit pretty much amongst all the Premier League teams, I don't know, it's not very inventive. And like HG said, I'd rather go back to Under Armour. I'd love to have Adidas. It seems like Adidas, are making some great kits at the moment. Or I'd go to anybody else.
Yeah, Adidas makes some nice kits. Adidas kits are also available. Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's difficult to do a lot with a white kit, to be honest, but there you go. It's all right. I did realise it's priced at £80, which is incredibly pricey. £60, however, if you're a season ticket holder or One Hotspur member and choose to use your £20 voucher with it. So,
wow, are you getting a £20 voucher from the club this year?
We get one every year, Dave.
Do you?
Yeah.
Are you going to be doing the £85 tour of the training ground? They've seen that offer this week.
I have not seen their Oz one, no.
Did you know that you could go to the Stunning Player Relaxation Area, which has got a sunken crescent garden? Did you know that?
I didn't know that. Is it Eric Dyer's herb garden located in that sort of vicinity?
Well, I think that's what swung the deal with Ange and got him to do his statement this week, because he had a look around. He saw the sunken crescent garden. Obviously, the barbecue area, or as we call it in Australia, the Barbie area.
Or the Steve Diver area, yeah.
Well, you've got the Barbie area, which is surrounded by rockery. And I think that's what persuaded
Where is this deal? This is on the website. I've not seen it.
I feel like all the lone players should have, they should put down some type of vegetable or flower or something that they can check up on, when they return from their loan, if there's such a garden that exists there.
Well, should they, I've got an idea. Should they reenact that scene from the Shawshank Redemption when they're all out in the fields? And then they're in the allotment. Sorry, I've ruined it for HG. He's never seen it. It was the butler that did it, HG. Oh, sorry, mate. Sorry. Actually, that's quite near the truth. No, anyway. So, yeah. Get down to the sunken crescent garden. It looks fantastic. In Enfield.
So, hang on. If you could just stop talking for 1 second.
Well, that's the point of the show, but anyway.
I want to know more. 85 quid. Is it?
Yeah, you get a tour.
You get a tour for 85 quid. So that's not.
You
bad,
get to sit at the table in the cafe. You get to sit at the Memorial Mourinho signing table in the cafeteria, as featured in All or Not Very Much.
And
so
is that a limited time offer, or is that permanently, or is it a temporary deal? Because I'm going to get down there. That's got my name all over it. Steve Diver, you're not special anymore, was my first thought. Because he got an invite to the training ground, didn't he? But
I don't think it's a permanent feature. I don't think they're going to put bus loads of tourists during the training sessions. Although Levy's penchant for making money, who knows? Here comes the Bulgarian supporters club bus as we're doing the intricate set pieces for League Cup second round.
We'll throw in a 2-for-1 cinema ticket at the Levy Dome for every purchase made. I tell you,
good idea.
If the royal family can open up Buckingham Palace in the summer when the Queen's buggered off to Balmoral, then we can do the same with the training ground. Surely we're not using it. Sending it off to some. The Brazil team aren't staying there to prepare for whatever.
And if you're lucky, there'll be some protesters outside that heckle you on your way in.
Yeah, or someone will get some that kind of chemical and draw like a big penis on the turf. Levy was here.
Wasn't it? I know I'm going back now. Wasn't it Dennis Wise and Les Ferdinand who broke into the Blue Peter Garden as kids and wrecked it? No, I'm sorry, Jack. You now thinking, what the fuck are you talking about? Sorry.
Anyway, these are some just touching on the kits because that's what we were talking about. These are obviously our previous season's efforts. So if you had to pick one of those, we're not going back any further than that, I don't think. But if you had to pick one of the, I don't know what's on the next slide. It might be. But if you had to pick one of those, which would it be? Dave.
Am I looking at this from a middle-aged fat man point of view? I'd be going with blimey. Well, I've got 16-17 because that was obviously the last season at the Lane, so very historic. So I like 16. Yeah, no, 16-17. I think 13-14 wouldn't fit my felt like 51-year-old figure. But my favourite, might I say what my favourite kit of all time is?
If you want, yeah.
It's obviously the 1981 the Coq Sportif. That was cool as.
All right, let's go with that as well. HG, kit from this page and favourite kit of all time.
From those 12, I mean, I'm just looking at how similar 19, 20, 21, 22, and 2023 are. They are very similar.
Yeah, but they got pelters when they went with the 2021, didn't they? They absolutely
because that's awful. Like,
I'm just saying, they try to do something different. You can't please everyone.
You can do something different, but that one just always reminded me, like, you know, those little half card things that like young girls wear. It just goes over their shoulders and nothing else. That's what 2021 looks like.
Yeah.
Of those, my favourite is probably weirdly 15-16. I did like that sash. I know people said it was like a car tire going across.
A seatbelt, I thought, but yeah.
But I didn't mind that one at all. I mean, I don't like it. I suppose I should go with one of the first two just because it's not got red on it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
okay.
like the Champions League one of 10-11, which is just not on there, that's probably my favourite. I love that kit too.
That's a good one.
Okay, Jack, sorry, HG, you didn't tell me your favourite of all time. What's your all-time favourite kit, if you've got a year? The kit book, by the way, if you've not got it, it is a really good book. I'm not trying to flog Levy merchandise, but the book on the kits throughout the history of Spurs is really good. HG, your favourite of all time?
I don't really have... I mean, home kit-wise, it probably is that 10-11. I did like the kind of off when it went across, but at a different angle.
Yeah. Nice.
That was nice, but I mean, I always like the. I mean, I had the yellow, like early '90s one with the dots in the corner. I liked that as a kid.
Yeah.
I don't buy kits. I mean, of those 12, I own precisely 0 of them. I don't buy.
Certainly nothing with a name on the
away
back.
Kits or third kits, to be honest. But that's because, as Dave alluded to, white doesn't work with middle-aged guts.
No, it doesn't.
Jack?
I've always liked our colors. Like, I've always liked our color combo. I feel like we got a bit ruined, or at least put in a bit of a hole by the red AIA the moment that sponsored it.
Jack, if I told you that one of our early kits was completely red, what would you say?
How early?
1920 something, I think it was. Yeah. For several seasons, actually.
So, yeah, that is several seasons.
I remember.
Wouldn't know what
I was
to say.
outraged at the
I saw
time.
it.
Dave was outraged at the time. How could they mess with the colour scheme?
To be fair, actually, I think an old Atletico Madrid kit is like white and like turquoise or like something like that, like something bizarre. So yeah, I guess you can really flop sides in terms of the color schemes. I would say 12-13 is probably the best, or maybe 13-14 are probably the best for me.
12-13 reminds me of Bale.
Yeah,
that's the first time round, because 2021 was Bale the second coming.
And then
I got that shirt with Bale 9 on the back, and he hardly played. I was mortified. But
yeah, it does remind you of sort of just Bale and Moussa Dembele and players like that, just sort of carrying us, I think, during those years.
Yeah.
But 13-14 reminds me of just sort of like kind of last season where we spent a bunch of money and then it just didn't really end up really doing very much for us, which was very much an iconic year for me. So that reminds me of Paulinho. I think Soldado, I believe as well, might have been from that season or something like that. So I'm going to go with 13-14.
Don't forget Vlad Chiriches, or whatever his name is.
Oh,
Chiriches.
Yeah,
him as well.
Yeah, the Romanian. Yeah, he was fun. I would say 13, 14, 12, 13. Favorite kits of all time. Of course, don't have as much of a good bank to pick from, but I might actually say 12, 13. Genuinely, favorite kits.
Okay, well, I'll go. Is that your favorite of all time, Jack? Sorry.
I was looking at some of the old Pumas because of course I was there for some of the old Puma kits that we had, and
Puma.
I don't really think they were that great. So I'm gonna go for 12, 13, actually.
Okay, so I would say that my favourite shirt or jersey, if you're Irish, would be out of this lot. I'm going to go for, because I've got most of them. I
You
love
surprised me.
the 17-18 kit with the shield on. I think it's really nice. It's a really nice fit, actually, i.e., flatteringly loose. So yeah, some of them are skin. They went skin tight at one phase, and not great. Not the best look for a tubby boy. But yeah, I liked 17-18. That was the season at Wembley, or the first season at Wembley, and the shield was designed to protect the side while we were away from our home. Interesting fact for you, or not very interesting at all. My favourite kit of all time is got to be the 91 Cup final. Where we brought out the long baggy shorts, Holston across the chest. I love that kit. It was proper cutting edge at the time. I think no one had worn baggy shorts before, and it's it's the first final, probably the only one of the only finals we've won since I've been supporting Spurs. But it was the first. I fell in love with Spurs that season, and obviously they modelled next season's kit in the cup final. So yeah, that's my favourite, and I'm not a big fan of the Lecoq Sportive shirts. If I'm honest, I'm not a fan of the Puma shirts. I'm not really a fan of the Nike shirts in particular. I like the Under Armour era. I'm with HG on that. I thought they were decent kits, to be fair, and we were good back then. So I suppose we have sort of halcyon days, hazy-eyed memories of watching Spurs then when we were in our pomp, a relative recent pomp. And of course, this season we've got white shorts as well, normally reserved for European football. But Dave, there's no Europe this season.
No, but I like white shorts though. I might get a pair. I do like, I don't mind wearing a pair of white shorts around the estate.
I mean, they're always available. They're available every year.
Yeah, I like them. I get some white shorts when I'm boycotting the shop due to the ownership of the club.
Your hypocritical stance where you're buying half the merch. Yes, we know. Speaking of merch, Franco's got some in stock now, so it's a great time to join the Patreon group. We have exclusive content throughout the season and forevermore. Prizes and discounts. So we do prizes for our fantasy football. Good time to join because you'll be able to line up for that next season. Seb's predict the score, which is always entertaining. I think I was so terrible at it, I dropped out at the end of this season. But some people have done really well with that. There's a chat group with like-minded people, cheeseheads from around the world. Loads of really good conversation, especially on match days. Obviously, the merchandise that Dave is modelling there while Levy is laughing at him. That's not a reflection of our merchandise, just Dave's punditry. And it's only £3 a month, so you've got very little to lose. The price of half a pint. A half at the new
can we drop that photo next season? Because my hair, I look like I've got a bloody wig on.
We ain't dropping that forever, baby. So there we go. Look, I know you've been excited and all week for this. I know Dave has done his hair specially for this. But
I got out of bed, to be honest.
It is time for this.
The
Cheesies, the award ceremony will now commence. So we've got some great awards in the mix that you voted for. We've put these out on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon. Patreon votes count for double. They don't, but we'll tell them that. And
thousands. We've got thousands of votes.
Thousands of votes, and we've whittled it down to various different winners. So let's move forward without further ado. And I'm going to ask you guys who you voted for. So Jack, if you didn't vote for anyone, just pretend you did, okay?
I think I remember doing the survey.
Good lad. That's what I want to hear. And if you voted in the chat, let us know. We love to hear from you. So do pop it in the chat. Let us know your thoughts as we move on. So we start with the best player of the season award. I mean, let's be honest. It probably isn't that hard a poll this season. In fact, I've got the share of the vote stats right here. And the winner had 91.5%.
Only 91.
Vote.
Who could it be?
Who could it possibly be? There he is, Mr.
Wow.
Kane. DaveO had a wonderful season, didn't he?
He did. I mean, it was a tough one for me to vote. I mean, I thought about old flappy hands Højbjerg, Mr. Consistency Romero. But for me, when I put my tick on the ballot paper, it was only one person, Mr. Kane. I mean, how many goals did he get? He got 30 goals in a pretty shite team. That's very impressive.
Shall I tell you who the runner-up is? That's probably what you really want to know. Yeah.
Okay.
Go on.
Oh bloody hell! Don't sound too excited. But yeah.
Go on. Let's hear it.
Tell us, caller. So the runner-up was Benton Kerr, but I think obviously because he was out for a long period of time. And closely followed by Emerson Royal. So
Blimey.
there you go. There's no accounting for taste, is there?
Closely followed means that one was at 4.5%, and the other one was at like 4.3%.
It was less than that, HG. It was split across a lot of sports. Like, it was like 1% of the vote, 1.2% of the vote or something. But yeah, there we go. Right. Moving forward, we can possibly have a little bit more debate about this next category. Let us know what you guys think. Worst player of the season. In fact, I challenge all of you in the chat. All of you. 117 of you watching. 2 challenges. Number 1, hit the like button if you haven't already. If not, you're a bit of a disgrace because, you're enjoying this for nothing. Come on, hit it. It costs you nothing. It takes a second. We appreciate it. We love you. So do smash that like button. And secondly, let us know who your worst player of the season was. Born to Lose is saying Davinson Sanchez all day long. Jack, do you agree with Davinson Sanchez? I mean, this was a very split vote, by the way. This was a very split vote. The winner got 27.9% of the vote. The runner-up got 21.8%. So, and then there's lots on 12 and 13%. 4 to be exact, obviously, because it equals 100. But yeah.
Worst player of the season has to really make an impact, I think, on a lot of games, a lot of points, a lot of results. So they ultimately have to kind of play some of the most games, I think. As much as I think Davinson Sanchez is probably our worst player, or maybe one of our worst players, he hasn't made as much of an impact ultimately to the points or to the games as much as other players would. I think your 2 candidates, I don't want to choose other people's, but I think your 2 candidates are between Eric Dyer and the likes of Hugo Lloris.
Well, shall I refresh your memory and tell you who the nominees were?
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
So the nominees were Hugo Lloris, Eric Dyer, Richarlison, Lucas, Sanchez, and Sessegnon. That was picked by the Cheese Room Punditry as the short list.
Well, that was
we could have made a long list. We could have made a long list.
No, it could be a very long list. As much as I think anybody can have free reign on Richarlison, Lucas, Sanchez, whoever it may be, like I said, I think I'll keep the point of like who's actually made the most impact on the actual season and who's been playing in the games that we've been watching and making mistakes or just causing us to eventually lose games. And of course, Antonio Conte shares his huge blame as well. I'm not, saying that, that goes without saying. But at the end of the day, some of the major mistakes that we've seen that we honestly thought you wouldn't even see in Sunday League sort of kind of mistakes have actually happened on a pretty consistent basis. I think the 2 candidates for that have been Dyer and Lloris. As much as I want it to be Lloris for worst player of the season, this is a shocker. I don't think it is Lloris. I think it's
hang on. Who did you say? Sorry?
I don't think it is going to be Hugo Lloris for worst.
Did you vote for Lloris though, Jack? Is that where you're?
I don't even know who I voted for at the time. I think I probably did vote Eric Dyer. The reasoning is that Eric Dyer has played ultimately more games than Lloris. Lloris has decided to quit
God,
basically at the end of the season and not play, the end of the games. And it
This
was
is
Fraser
somehow a plus
Forster that
point,
had
is
to say that. Sorry again.
It's
Say
somehow
that
a
again.
plus point that Hugo has quit.
Yeah,
So therefore he
he's
can't
lost
win
out on
worst
this
player of the season.
nomination. He's pulled a nice one in that regard, actually.
Just
So
when
the
he was
fact
owed a
that
testimonial, so Levy will be happy about that.
so yeah, Eric Dyer for me. I'll shut up. I think it's Eric Dyer for me.
Okay. I love Eric Dyer. Eric Dyer loves me. Bullshit. HG, who did you vote for in the worst player category? I know the answer, but I
I
can't
think I
wait
know
to
the
see-
answer.
No, the answer is the worst player wasn't even there until I complained about them not being there, and then
True.
you added it in later on.
I did, yeah, I did. Hang on, it was only a day later. Hang on,
I
hang
don't
on.
care. I don't care. The worst player of the season is the worst player that has played for Third, and I think that is Cess. Sorry,
Yeah.
Cesspit, as we love to call him in our little group.
Ooh.
You know how there are some players that have lots of talent but can't really do it on the pitch? People like Lamella, right? Lots of talent, but just Cess isn't even that. He doesn't have the talent. He doesn't have
he
the
proved to
drive.
be
He doesn't
Elite
have the.
One.
I'm sorry. He obviously did really well at 16-17 for Fulham in the Championship. I don't really know where that player went, but for Spurs, he's never looked good enough, and he isn't good enough. So sorry, Ryan. I know you're not watching, but you
It
were
was
the
his
worst player
make or
this
break
season.
season. It was
It
his
might
make or
be.
break season.
He might be hanging on your every word, HG. So
Well,
Session
then I
for you.
apologised before I stuck the knife in. Ryan, you're bloody awful.
His twin brother Stephen might be watching it.
DaveO?
Well, I mean, it's almost like we could go around the panel and guess which other members of the panel would make it. I always thought HG would go for Cess, no doubt.
Well, you know who
Jack-
those two voted for. You can guess who I voted for.
Well, Jack, I was very surprised with because I thought Jack was going to go with who I voted for worst player of the season, and that was Hugo Lloris, because last summer I didn't think we needed to replace him. Yes, he always went through a period where he had clangers in the season, but since he broke his elbow in Brighton, on the whole, he's been okay. But last season just gone, he caused us to drop and lose a load of points. If he had not made half those mistakes, we would probably have got the Conference League, and it's a massive disappointment we didn't, to me. And so Hugo Lloris is my worst player of the season. What a way to finish your career at Tottenham.
I'm glad you added at Tottenham because he's bound to take a lucrative
Bringing a tear to my eye.
at the end of it all. Go on then, Dave. Who did I vote for?
Well, the one person I put in for worst player of the year, you took out, but we'll get on to him shortly. Your worst player of the year, I think it's got to be, I don't know, it's got to be Dyer. No, actually, Højbjerg. Højbjerg. You voted Højbjerg.
Well, he wasn't in the nominations list, so no.
Who was it then? This is suspense. The suspense is building up here. I hope
can't
the
be
viewers
Højbjerg,
the viewers at home can they're grasping, clutching to the couch.
I voted for Eric Dyer because
There we go.
I mean it's close. Don't get me wrong. You could make a case for everyone on that list, and maybe for Højbjerg, but I don't think he was.
You could have put pretty much.
Look at the
any
first
player
part
in
of the
front.
season he had.
Yeah, we had to narrow it down a little bit. I mean, but Højbjerg played all right for the first part of the season. In fact, as Gibbo reminds me frequently, he was leading the assists and the goal scorers from midfield until Christmas. But I think Dyer is the one who made the most mistakes, etc. So let the side down a lot. Right, let's get back to it. So worst player of the season. Can I have a drum roll, please, HG?
For the worst player of the season, a drum roll.
Yeah. There we go. Ta-da! Eric Dyer carried 27.9% of the vote. There you go. So, no surprises, I guess, from you guys.
Yeah, it should have been Cess.
Should have been Cess. I mean, Cess was out from... He didn't play after Christmas, did he?
Because he's made of glass.
Yeah.
And when he
Apparently
did play, he was rubbish. Like,
Yeah.
Dyer was rubbish
you could have
all
put
season.
Conte
He was
there. You probably should
tormenting
have
us on
put
a
Conte
weekly
there.
basis.
But no,
So
just...
I think I actually think that the people have spoken, the people are right. But
Seth's another 20 to 30 million signing made by us who's shit. There we go.
Why do you? But it's funny because then I'll remind you again, Steve Hitchin. So
Oh, here we go.
I feel like
All the-
but you're just gonna ignore it. You say it
And
every
your
time, but
award
every
for
single
winning
time it's
worst
Steve
player of
Hitchin.
the
By the way,
season.
all these players you mentioned are all Steve Hitchin. Just let you know, every single
And
time.
your reward for winning worst player of the season is a brand new contract extension. There you go.
4 more years. 4 more years.
4 more years.
That's
This-
going to get clipped.
This is it for me. Dyer makes fatal errors like nobody else. He does. If you look at, I think he made more errors leading to a goal than anyone else on the team. Even
I
Hugo.
think that was Hugo actually.
I thought it was
sadly.
Hugo.
You've got
Yeah,
an anti-Hugo agenda.
Me?
Well, that's just the facts. That's just the facts. But I
Jack
said it
does.
was Dyer for worst player of the season. I tried to be unbiased.
Okay, next up, we've got goal of the season. And weren't there some absolute wonder goals? So the nominees, and let us know in the chat what you think about this while you're hitting the like button and simultaneously hitting the like button on another account. We've got Lucas versus Leeds. Obviously, he left it very late to make his departure, but we can't take it away from Lucas. He is now known for more than just those goals in Amsterdam. Kane's record breaker versus City. Kane's almost a free kick versus Brentford. Figured out he couldn't score a free kick, so rifle one in the top corner. It was a good goal. And you can see exclusive footage of that on the Cheese Room YouTube channel, provided by me. Son versus Brighton, curling effort. And Skip versus Chelsea, a hammer blow to Chelsea. So let us know in the chat which out of those wins for you. And I'm going to go around the pundits one by one. DaveO, how did you vote on this one, sir?
For the symbolism, for what it means in the club history, it may not have been the best goal out of the nominees, although I do struggle with Lucas's goal at the end of an absolute dead rubber of a match and a meaningless, Leeds shit defenders going down. But anyway,
worst defense in the league as well.
Worst defense in the league, even worse than ours. But well done, Lucas. So for me, it's got to be Kane's record breaker versus City, an important moment in our club's history. Absolutely delighted for him. Just reward for the way he's gone about making his professional career, his dedication, his commitment. Apart from going golfing with Gary Neville, we love him. He loves us. Just don't go near a golf course with Gary Neville again, Harry.
Okay, HG.
From the awful list to choose from, I went with Son versus Brighton because even though we all knew what he was going to try and do, the fact that he did it so well was incredible. My favourite goal of the season, there are two. There is Harry Kane's first at Palace. Well, no, not the first, the second, excuse me. The second at Palace, where Brian just played it inside and he took one touch to steady and then buried it in the bottom corner. Right. I love that goal. It's just the brutal simplicity of that was incredible. And Højbjerg's goal at Marseille that made us top of the group. And we thought, okay, like we're getting towards the end of this awful first half of the season. Second half will be so much better. That turned out to be wrong. But that goal right at the end of the game, we played terribly, but we somehow nicked it and he rifled it in from just outside the area in off the post. That was a class goal. I liked that goal. But otherwise, no. Lucas could.
That was one of the best performances of the season. Hill Messi's at Selhurst Park. I agree. I think that was
Hill Messi's best moment in the Spurs shirt, and probably will be the best moment in the Spurs shirt.
I mean, and then he got promptly loaned out. So
that was his best game for Tottenham. It's not much to compare.
It was. Yeah, it was.
Jokes. Absolute jokes. Jack, bring some sensibility to all of this.
I don't know if I usually provide that sort of thing, but I'll try my best. I would go for Sonny's versus Brighton. I just think if you just look at that, like unbiased, like not even a Spurs fan, the way it tucks in the side net, that's what I sort of think of with that goal. It's just kind of beautiful the way
we have seen him do it a lot, though, haven't we? I mean,
but I mean, it is like trademark, and I don't think you should take away from it. Whereas like Kane's, The reason why I don't put
Just
Kane's in there is because we
standard
just get. But Kane's, it's like maybe this is where I am being biased and hypocritical, but like Kane just never scores free kicks, so that was beautiful to watch. But at the same time, you're just like, why don't we do that every time then? If like Kane just is able to do that. I would say Skippy's versus Chelsea was one of the best of the season. I do think that was pretty impressive and was one of the best volleys in general of sort of the season. But my favorite goal of the season was Emerson's versus West Ham, because I think it had the best celebration of the season. I believe, a throat grab. It had a headbutt, and it had a pregnancy celebration because he was celebrating his pregnant girlfriend. So it had like 3 amazing different
So
celebrations.
was he
and that's
describing the
one.
fornication with a throat grab and a headbutt?
I don't think so. I think that's just how Richarlison and Romero celebrate with Emerson.
Good to know. Good to know. I mean, the vote on this is very split. Very, very split. So 20. Oh, by the way, which way do you think I voted, Dave?
I definitely think you voted for Mora's goal because he's your favourite player.
I don't like Mora. What are you talking about?
I know. I'm being ironic.
Oh, right. So do you want to give me a real answer? Or?
I think, Kane's record breaker for all that it means, surely. Oh, no, hang on. Stop a minute. It's bloody Skip, innit? You vote for Skip, didn't you? Oh, he was the best player ever.
Yes, I did vote for Skip because it was a worldie of a hit and the boy deserves it. And he takes a lot of unfair criticism from idiots who don't know what they're talking about.
Højbjerg's at Marseille. I do feel like that is kind of odd that was left out.
I didn't get to make the list, Jack.
I vetoed it.
That maybe is part of the Højbjerg agenda.
Maybe. Maybe, but it wasn't up. So if I give you the top 3, so in joint second place was Lucas versus Leeds and Kane's almost a free kick versus Brentford. But the winner and the undisputed goal of the season, Ollie Skip. There you go. So he took 27.9% of the vote. Now, I was a bit surprised about this, to be honest, because I thought it was an all right hit, but no better than I do on a Tuesday night.
So how many times did you vote for Skip then in this to get your boy his
I didn't.
award?
I voted once.
Okay. We'll be having an audit.
Maybe there are a lot of
Ernst & Young.
Americans who can't make such clean contact with a ball on a Tuesday night.
I mean,
like
in
myself,
fairness,
so
I
we were
could
very
understand
impressed.
why people liked it because it was a very clean hit. So, yeah, let's be
I was
really
jealous.
clear, Dave. If I wanted to rig the vote, I'd be up for the Cheese Room Presenter of the Year, and I'm not. So, there we go. Signing of the season is our next category. There we go, just to make it official. These cheese trophies, we need to talk about Franco about getting some budget for the real things because I tell you what, they look gorgeous. Yeah, okay. Signing of the season. So obviously, just to refresh your memories in terms of signings, everybody. So to vote for in this category, there is Perisic, Spence, Richarlison, Forster, Porro, Longley, Bissouma, and Danjuma. That almost rhymes. HG, which way did you cast your vote on this? You're on mute. Actually.
You're on mute.
You're on mute. This is quite funny, actually. You're on mute. You're on mute. HG, you're on mute. There we go.
Okay, so yeah, the reason I wasn't really paying attention is because I have my mum's commentary coming in the other ear the whole time we're doing the show. So we say it, and then about 5 seconds later, she gets to watch it on the video, and I get.
Don't agree with that, Oliver Skip.
There you go. It was along those lines, Caller. Anyway, signing of the season. Yikes. For the impact they had on the team, it's weird. Like you could probably make a case for Porro because his stats weren't bad. Weirdly, with when it came to goals and assists.
Season too.
But I mean, yeah, I might stick with that. Actually, I might stick with Porro. I mean, Longley has a case because he played a lot, and that doesn't mean a great deal. But at least he came in and played okay. Yeah, but I'll go with Porro because we all knew that he couldn't defend before he signed, and he's proved that in the Premier League he can provide
He can't
assists for
defend.
Kane. He scored 3 goals in the Premier League now. That's
He's
pretty good
effective
for a
going
wing
forward.
back in half a season. So I will go with Porro.
Jack, which way did you vote on this, or which way would you vote? You have it to do right now.
I think if Pedro Porro was signed instead of Jed Spence, I think he would have easily been the best signing of the season, but he wasn't. We waited until January, and then we'll talk about Jed Spence later. I think it is Fraser Forster. I think it would be Pedro Porro if he had played a whole season. But I think there was similar logic used against Kulusevski for why, Kulusevski wasn't involved in like the team of the season, despite him having like better numbers in half a season than like Bukayo Saka even had. And I think that was, just sort of sign of like, I guess, apparently if you join in halfway through the season, it just doesn't really count, I guess. So I think we'll give it to Fraser Forster then by default. I just think he showed Hugo up, basically.
Okay, DaveO, is this true?
Longley did get a vote for me, but we'll get onto that shortly. Of course. No doubt about that. I was just roughly totting up how much all that lot cost, and I think it was about 140 million, roughly.
Yeah.
And then there's that speed ice skater that won the gold after everyone collapsed. All fell down on the ring, and what was his name? Steven somebody or another.
Steve Bradbury.
That's the one. This is the Steve Bradbury Award because, good God, what a lot of mediocrity to consider for the year. So my thinking, I nearly went for Fraser Forster, which has been the massive irony of that great transfer window that we had last summer, which I gave 6 out of 10.
It is an irony.
It is an irony.
It's Kevin, actually, but...
No, I gave 6 in the year before 3. And genuinely, I was very excited about Basuma, but obviously I'm hoping that... And he showed the green shoots, as someone likes to say, in the last few games of the season for next season. But for me, we got him on January the 31st. He can't defend for toffee, but he can score some goals and got quite good numbers. And in Ange world, I can see him playing further forward, not as a right back, I believe. It's Pedro Porro.
Pedro Porro, double P. Okay. HG.
Well, we can replay what I said a few minutes
Oh,
ago.
sorry. No.
Perisic, I guess, 12 assists, to be fair.
Perisic.
Just too many defensive mistakes for me. I think.
I can hear your mum in the background.
I can hear your mum.
Porro! Well, we'll bring her on the show. Have a guess which way I voted, Jack.
I think you're going to go for.
Couldn't vote for Skip, obviously.
Oh, good God.
Or Winks. I think you're going to go for Fraser Forster. I think you are going to give it to him. I think despite it being very sort of, uninspiring, I think you've given it to Forster.
Can I guess who you went for? I reckon you went for Longley, just to be obstinate and stubborn. Go on.
You're correct!
There we go.
Yeah, I did vote
I
for
know
Longley.
you so well.
Wow, you actually voted for Longley. It's
I
beautiful
did
to see.
vote for Longley, yeah, but that was
Beautiful.
just so I could have this conversation with Dave, to be perfectly honest.
We're about to have the second part of this conversation very shortly.
I mean, let's be fair about this. Longley didn't do a lot wrong, but he did a lot right. We'll get on to it in a minute. Dave can.
I
have
thought
his
this
say.
would be Sacred Cow, but we're getting a sneak
I
peek.
think.
This
I
is
think.
fine.
I think. If, in all honesty, I think when you look at it, Fraser Forster's probably the one who's had the most appearances and been the most consistent, with 40. Hang on, let's get that up. With 48.5% of the vote.
Wow.
The giant that is Fraser Forster reigns in the trophy. Don't tell me Spurs have won no trophies this season. They're all getting little cheesies sent to them. Porro came second, 23% of the vote. And in third place was Bissouma, which surprised me given he's barely played a game.
So let's just consider that once more. The person who came top was our second choice free transfer goalkeeper, the second, the reserve keeper. Number 2 was someone who came in January the 31st and, leaked goals, but did well going forward. And third place was someone who got the votes because we think he's a good signing, but
was out
didn't
long
have a
term.
great season.
Yeah.
I think what's
There
best
we
is the
go.
fact that Fraser Forster wins it, but he probably got maybe from every single YouTube channel less than maybe 3 minutes of attention over the course of the entire summer. Probably like on
Yeah,
his
exactly.
signing. Like no one would really, probably everybody left it as a footnote, you know, in terms of signings.
Only Spurs would have this irony of having the goalkeeper be one of the worst players of the season, which means that the reserve goalkeeper becomes the signing of the season. Like, purely because Hugo was rubbish, did Forster get a chance? It's that you can't get much more Spursy than that.
Well, next up is the dubious award of the worst signing of the season. Dave has already given it to Longley in his head, but most people haven't. So let me read you the nominees for worst signing of the season. It's the same nominees that were on the best signing of the season, silly. So we have got Perisic, Spence, Richarlison, Forster, Porro, Longley, Basuma, and Danjuma, just to refresh your mind. DaveO, tell me, how did you reach your decision on this one?
Well, let me tell you something. I nearly voted for. I'm sorry, Jack. Are you ready for this? The person I voted as worst signing of the season last year was Brian Hill. And the reason why I voted for him, which shows the kind of lack of coordinated thinking amongst our club, that we signed someone who's a left winger and we don't play with wingers. And then to acclimatise him to English football, we send him back on loan to the continent, which we've now done 2 years running. But obviously I can't vote for Hill again. So I nearly went
part
for
of the
Jed.
prophecy.
I nearly went for Jed Spence for the same reason. We spent hours and years negotiating him. I even wrote a 4-stanza fucking poem about the saga. Sorry, everyone. And we didn't play him. So that he was like this year's Brian Hill. But in the end, I went for the person who's like another the French Ricardo Rocha. He can't get into a crap Barcelona team. And it's different with Kulu and Bentancur signings because Juventus did well or do well in Serie A before the points deduction, and he can't play in a 4. He is so lacking in pace, gets bullied for high balls, but because he's good on the ball, unlike Sanchez or Tanganga, that he is seen by people as a good player. Look at the Sheffield United goal. Look at the Wolves goal. I could go on and on. Clement Longley, a Le Merde signing of the season. Merci.
Le Merde is feminine. I don't think you mean Le Merde.
Whatever. He's shy.
Yeah. Jack, sorry to correct you, French, Dave. Jack, not sorry. Who was your worst signing season? Who did you vote for in this case?
I'm split between Richarlison and Jed Spence for 2 different reasons. I think Richarlison, as much as I like his backstory, as much as I like the character and everything like that, the backup striker was a necessary signing, but did we need to spend 60 million on it? Probably not. Like, I don't think that was what we needed to spend
I suppose
on.
he covered, in fairness, I remember us sitting here having this conversation, Sam, but he covers 2 positions. He covers Sonic's position.
I mean, but there were a bunch of other signings that could have cost 40 million less that would have done the same thing, I think.
I mean, it's like 3 Hill Messis, 2 maybe, 2.5.
I wish we were a team of Hill Messis, but that's why I'm not running this football club, because we might be in League 2 if that were the case. But in the case of Richarlison, I feel like like I said, I really like the guy. I really like what he brings and everything like that. But for the price, I don't think it really was a good price. With the benefit of hindsight, of course, and that 60 million could have been spent on what we obviously really needed, which was center backs to compete with the likes of Eric Dyer, to maybe even prevent forbid the signing of Clement Longley, to get rid of that pain for the likes of David Harris here. So that could have been prevented if we didn't spend all that money on Richarlison and other sort of kind of defensive signings that were probably needed at the time. The only reason I mentioned Jed Spence is because we did sign Pedro Porro at the end of the day. And Pedro Porro was sort of brought in to be a right wing back, to bring the creativity that we needed to compete with the likes of Emerson. Jed Spence proved to not be good enough to be better than Matt Doherty or the likes of Emerson in at least Antonio Conte's eyes. But I think his own loan spell in Rennes would kind of sort of prove that Conte was kind of right, at least to some degree. Like he didn't really do very well while on loan at Rennes. And he also apparently had that little thing about his parents like showing up to training, you know, like demanding he play more, which is not really a good look, I think, in any regard. So I feel like Jed Spence, I'm going to keep the faith in him, but I do think he's probably been proven to be a very bad signing considering that whole saga and considering we could have maybe just gone after Pedro Porro in the first place. What is Jed Spence now? Like, I'm confused what Jed Spence even is for us.
He's a futile Levy exercise.
He'll become a homegrown pawn,
pence.
I think, for the team. For 20 million, he'll become a homegrown pawn.
He is a futile exercise in saving Levy.
I remember this. I think I need a recourse of the ballad of Jed Spence. But HG, let's hear from you. I can't hear from you. You're on mute or something.
He's on mute again.
He's on mute again.
Oh, all right. Anyway,
No,
is this because of your mother? Tell your mother. Stop it.
well, you just told her yourself. She's listening.
Yeah, there you go. She'll get it 5 seconds later. She just got
probably. There we go. I'll wait for a response. No, look. Richarlison, simply 60 million on a player that doesn't play, and certainly even in the position that he's best playing or second best playing. Now you can't blame that on Richarlison, but when you spend 60 million pounds, it needs to be on someone who's going to improve the team, and he was never really going to do that because he was always a backup option. Like, you can find squad players for cheaper. So like, I understand. Like, I think he's a good player. This is not on him at all. But when a club like Spurs spends 60 million on a player, is he?
It's half your budget,
50 something. But yeah, like he's top 2, top 3 of our most expensive signings ever. It's got to be Richarlison.
Okay, well I'll tell you who I voted for.
I don't want to hear it. Can you mute yourself?
I'm going to put you on mute. The rationale for it is he barely made an appearance for us. He was a completely useless signing for the first team. It would be the ballad of Jed Spence. Unfortunately for me, he just didn't. You know, he didn't contribute anything. At least Richarlison scored a couple of goals. At least he played a bit. Jed Spence was a completely.
At least he played a bit. You could say that about Sessegnon too. It's no.
But let's not forget.
But like Jed Spence could turn into a Sessegnon, right? Where like it feels like maybe in a few years' time, like he might end. Because also what's funny is I remember Barcelona, right? That whole story about Barcelona laughing at the Emerson signing, like for the price of it. And it's sort of like, but just to think about it, like the Sessegnon signing is the one they really should have been laughing at because we paid like 7 million or 8 million more for Sessegnon than we ever did Emerson. And also, like Emerson, within like half a season, played more games than Sessegnon ever did.
I thought Cess was 25
club.
mil, Jack. I thought
he was like 28, 29 million.
He was nearly
30.
He was nearly 30 million.
And Emerson was 25. Well, hang on.
To be fair, Poch pushed that transfer. But anyway, that's another story. We're digressing completely. Dave, I'm not letting you have it because we have got a show to get through. We've got lots more categories to get through. But
we've got the food section.
Back to me.
Why wasn't there a best and worst manager of the season? We had 3.
The show would have taken too long, HG. We'd be like one of those channels that goes on for about 6 hours and no one needs that in their life.
I wanted to do best board member, but I wasn't allowed.
How did Donna Cullen become a hate figure? All of those things. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? So this is again quite a split vote. The winner got 27.9% of the vote, followed by 23.6%, followed by 20%, followed by 19.4%. So there were 4 clear standout people, and I will tell you who they are in reverse order.
Oh,
I know the suspense is killing you. So with 19.4% of the vote, Ivan Perisic. With 20% of the vote was my man Spence, Jed Spence. With 23.6% of the vote was Richarlison. But the winner...
French? Has he become French?
Richarlison.
Richarlison.
Sacre bleu. Lamert. The winner of the worst signing of the season goes to someone that hasn't even been mentioned.
Danjuma, give over. Oh,
Dan
No. Oh, come on.
27.9% of the vote.
Come
The
on,
people have
Jesus.
spoken.
Must be a lot of Brian Hill fans that were sad to see Brian Hill go.
Wow.
I mean, I've got to say, I was surprised about this.
Commentary.
There's a dissenting voice in Vienna in the background. I'm hearing a chorus of boos.
Alles ist
Wow.
nicht schön.
Yeah, and she's
Well,
coming to the chat as well. Better.
Oh, look at that.
I mean, agree with it or not, the people have spoken. I mean, they voted for Brexit in this country, so you're not always
The
going to
geezer-
The geezer was. Go on.
Shamlos.
The geezer was seen like on the exercise bike on social
Yeah.
media till
I know.
midnight. The light was on in Enfield Way
I know.
after he'd looked at the sunken garden or whatever it is, and he gets the worst signing of the season. Man, that is harsh.
I've got to be honest. I was surprised by that. I thought it was a bit harsh,
Yeah.
but
Wow.
there you go.
Wow.
I agree.
He's-
VAR. So it's
He's
good.
gone
I agree.
anyway. VAR has been and looked at it and has decided that.
Wow.
Do you know what Danjuma's been doing this week? I don't know if anyone's seen this.
No.
On his summer holiday, you know how most players go to Dubai or somewhere fancy like
Yeah.
that. He has climbed Mount Fuji.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Fair play to him.
So it's a bit different. But
That didn't
no,
save him for our awards
no, he's
ceremony,
not the
though, did
worst
it?
signing of the season. I don't know who voted for that. Must have been
Adrian,
Cole's family.
I don't think it's a fix because none of us voted for it.
Is
so
it-
There you go.
Is it now time for the traditional drawing of the blinds part of the show?
Are you going to draw the blinds? Yeah.
Would you like me to draw the blind? I mean,
Will you
it's
draw
a
the
su-
blinds, please? It's a bit
I
like
will.
the Crystal Maze, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll hang on a minute. Let me mute myself.
It must be a lot of. I must have really poorly influenced the voting for because I feel like that just must be a bunch of Hill Massey fans just sad to see Brian Hill go. Like if you're
I
voting,
think it's-
Danjuma and every single minute that he had played did not look really that bad. For
I agree.
for the most part. That's
I
quite
agree.
sad.
I don't know what people are thinking really. I think
So it's very sad for all of you, dear fellow panelists and hosts. This could be one of the last few times that I am going to be drawing the blinds.
has your new flat not got blinds?
No, it's just light comes in everywhere.
Windowless.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a cell.
I know you're excited about it. Steve Diver said it's the longest house move in history, but there you go.
Well, Steve Diver had to move kids as well. Just
Is
doing
it
my best,
25
keep things
is it-
going. Know what I mean?
Is it true it's 25 yards up the road?
It's near the kebab shop, which is great news.
Brilliant.
And I'm not joking.
Next up, we've got the best result of the season. So if I tell you the nominees for this category and play along in the chat. So the nominees are Tottenham 6, Leicester 2. Full of optimism that day. What happened? Tottenham 1, Man City 0. I was actually full of optimism that day as well. Leeds 1, Tottenham 4. Wasn't that bad. Tottenham 2, Chelsea 0. And Palace 0, Tottenham 4. Although, yeah, there you go. What are we saying, Jack? Go to you first.
I think it's easy for me. I think it's
I'm gonna pour a
Chelsea.
beer, so pass it round yourself. But I am dry, so I'll be back.
I think it's easy for me. I think it's Chelsea. And this is the first time. I could be wrong, but this is one of the first times in my Spurs lifetime that I've genuinely been able to walk up to any sort of other plastic yank Chelsea fan and sort of feel kind of confident. I feel like I could feel confident walking up to them and sort of saying you had a worse season than us. We also, done you over 2 times. It just feels like this is the first time ever I wouldn't be scared to walk up to a Chelsea fan. So I would say just, doing that away result was fantastic. That was because I feel like, of course, it's been a short-lived Spurs career, but for me, Chelsea has always just been like, I go into it with no hope ever. It's always something like, even Liverpool, it feels like we know we put in a good performance, but we just get done over with something unlucky at the end. It feels like, whereas Chelsea, it's just like we just turn into our worst selves every time. So I don't know, getting a draw and winning over Chelsea was spectacular for me.
DaveO?
That was great.
Well, I think that Chelsea, since they've been bought by Philip Seymour Hoffman, have not had a good run of things, and their travails this season has been a source of great amusement to me, in the context of how awful we've been. So for me, it's always lovely to beat the Chelsea. When was the last time we beat them at home? I can't remember. It's been a while. Actually, we hadn't beaten them at the new stadium, had we?
No, definitely.
Anyway,
definitely not.
So to beat the Chelsea 2-0, and Graham Potter and his polo neck, who kind of has proven to be not a great manager. I'm even more happy about Ange that we didn't get Potter in. So for me, beating the Chelsea 2-0, beautiful. Over to you, HG.
Well, the best result, we beat the champions. That's it. We beat the champions at home. That is the best result of the season. Did we play well? No. Were we a bit fortunate? Yes. Does that happen every season? Yes. But, it's true. But
that doesn't make it the best result of the season because we're so used to it. It could be like
but our season's been terrible.
DaveO
like,
in charge, and we still win.
Every year. No. So to me, City is the best result of the season. Even though it made Arsenal's attempt at winning the title that much funnier when it fell apart. It was very Spursy to win that game, knowing full well that it would benefit us probably if we didn't. But we beat the champions at home. Not everyone can say that. I mean, Brentford can say that, but still, not everyone can say that. And that's my result of the season. I have no idea what's coming up next. I'm mortally offended that Cooler has flipping Bandit from Bluey as his picture. Like, that is just. You guys don't know what Bluey is, do you?
Nah.
No.
That cartoon character up there is Bluey from an Australian show called. No, it's Bandit, the dad from Bluey.
The dad.
And Bandit's cool, so it doesn't fit Cooler at all.
Is that an Aussie show?
Mm-hmm. It's really good. You should watch it. You should genuinely watch it. It's a kid's show, but it's really, really good. But
it's the best part of Daddy Daycare. It really is. And Daisy loves it. So Disney Plus has got every Bluey, in case you didn't know, HG. I'm sure you do. So literally, she just whacks it on, and it's on, like, I've seen all 3 seasons or 4 seasons, whatever it is. Okay, are we round to me?
Yes,
It's the best result
of the season.
Best
for
game
me,
or best result?
Best result. The one that gave me the most joy was Chelsea. Beating Chelsea, there was no comparison, to be honest, because I hate Chelsea. They're probably higher up in my hate stakes than Arsenal, just because of the way they've bought everything. Yeah. And no, they are. I hate them more than Arsenal. So it goes back to my first girlfriend being a Chelsea fan and her dad rubbing my
Everybody
nose.
and their mother seems to be a Chelsea fan.
What was the name of your first girlfriend, Caller?
Why is that relevant, Dave?
I'm just interested. Just getting to know about the man
Jennifer.
behind the myth.
I'm guessing it was Jennifer, something like
Jen.
that.
It wasn't. It was Yvonne.
Was it?
I
Was
didn't
it
think
Sally?
I was right, Caller. I just guessed. There's lots of names to pick.
It was Yvonne, and she was dumb for having a shit name. But there we go. So it was Tottenham 2, Chelsea 0. Yvonne, if you're watching, I'm sorry about that. But there you go. I hate Chelsea with a passion. However, my vote is not what counts. It's what the people think. And lots of people of you have been commenting left, right, and centre. There we go. So the best result of the season is, with 64.2% of the vote, comprehensively beating Manchester City.
There we go.
It's so, like, honestly, this is what I wanted to say just quickly.
Yeah.
If we were able to get a close result with Harry Winks and Ryan Mason as manager in a cup final against Man City, that just shows like Man City are cursed against us. Like the fact that they struggled against Harry Winks in midfield in a cup final with Ryan Mason with his third game in charge or whatever, his first game in charge, if I'm not even mistaken. So I just think it's like it's I don't know. But I think Man City are cursed against us. I'm waiting to see them beat us 5-0 before this curse is broken, to be fair.
Well,
Like
they
I
did
would
beat us quite well this season as well, didn't they? But...
No, they really didn't. We were up 2-0 at
No.
halftime.
Yeah, then Longley came on looking very assured in the second half.
Exactly. Yeah, more evidence for the Longley Brigade, but I don't even regard that as like a bad result, to be honest. Like I think they had to come back at the end of the day.
Let's move on to the worst.
I don't know. It was immemorable. This 1-0, immemorable for me.
I mean, this is pretty much a bit of a pushover. This category. I'm going to go quite quick on it because I don't think we need to dwell on sad times too much. Let us know in the chat.
Why not? We're Spurs fans. It's what we do.
For me,
it's the whole point of the podcast, isn't it?
It's the whole point of our existence.
I want to forget. Well, I want to forget that for me, this game happened. The 6-1 at Newcastle, and I started watching it, thinking, never know. And we were, it was just like 2-0 down in 4 minutes or something ridiculous, and the goals just kept flying in. I didn't like that game very much. DaveO, was that your worst result of the season too?
I'm surprised you didn't have the Sheffield United Cup game in.
I should run through the nominations. You're right. So Newcastle 6, Tottenham 1, Tottenham 0, Arsenal 2, Leicester beating us 4-1, Man United beating us 2-0, or Brentford beating us 3-1. And you're probably right. The Sheffield United one probably should be in there as well, but it's not. So we'll move on. Yeah.
So anyway, I voted obviously for the 6-1, and I was watching it with another beloved member of my household, and I think after 20 minutes we were just laughing. To be honest, we were just laughing, and it was the WhatsApp messages come in. It was just quite comedic. I mean, as soon as you saw how we were set up, you just knew. I mean, you didn't have much chance anyway. Our away form was crap, but. When that, I honestly was laughing after 20 minutes. The only thing, and I mean the only positive thing I could say about it, and I don't rate him as a player, and at 42 million quid, he was a shocking signing, is that after he got booed off the pitch and was in tears on the side of the pitch, he showed some mettle about him, Davison Sanchez, in the second half. He got the ball, he did okay, and for me, that showed a bit of grit about him. That's the only positive out an absolute shocker.
It's also the only nice thing you've ever said about Sanchez.
That is the only, and will be. And I do remember Franco getting very upset about the refund, which made me laugh a lot. Other than that, what an absolute shit show.
He did get upset about the refund.
He got very upset. He don't like refunds, Franco.
He don't like refunds.
He don't like clip that up. He don't like fucking refunds.
Be warned if you're a patron. HG.
Well, the worst result is that, I mean, it's funny, when it came up, I always forget what the nominations are. And the first one that came into my mind was not the Newcastle result, which shows you what a bad season we've had. But it's got to be Newcastle. We all started laughing at 5-0. I do agree with Franco that refunds are a terrible idea. But look, it's like I feel like the moment of the season that I'd like to know more about is what happened at half time for Hugo to not come out.
Yeah,
right? And then never be seen again in a Spurs shirt.
I would love to see. Why couldn't we have the Amazon documentary this season? That'd be hilarious.
Well, they must have had a fight.
But it's it, like, we can all speculate, but I want to know. I want to know who beat him up, because someone beat him up. It's not Hugo in his mouth, like being club captain. Like someone's probably said something to him, and then he's reacted. But
was it Levy's brother-in-law? Do you reckon?
No, but that's what I want to know about.
Okay, chat.
I think it's Sheffield United, it's Arsenal at home, or it's Newcastle. I think they're the big three. I think with Newcastle, what made it really horrible was that Isak sort of celebration was when he just threw his arms up like what is he genuinely was laughing at us when you like scored that one where you just went like, this like sort of thing. Like that was really bad for me, because that was like a sign that he knew that they were going to win that game, but that was like him just being like, this team hasn't even shown up like whatsoever. Like this is far too easy, like type of thing. And that was not even like Arsenal like celebrated that type of way. At least we put up maybe more of a fight, I guess, barely. Barely, but like against Newcastle, it was like we were a dead fish against them. So I would actually say the one that hurt more ultimately was Arsenal at home, but the one that was most embarrassing, I think, was Newcastle. I think that one was most.
They all hurt. I mean, I've got to say the one that's often overlooked. I think the Brentford 3 Tottenham, obviously went 1-0 up, and then just completely terrible performance.
But we got to hear Fool's Gold at the end, the volume and the state once more. Great tune. So it's what everyone pays their season tickets for.
I know, but we played a good 45, and then it was just disaster in the second. But there we go. We digress. So let's do the countdown. So with 9.1% of the vote was getting beaten at home by Arsenal. With 27.9% of the vote, higher than maybe I would have thought, was Leicester beating us 4-1. I mean, this is relegated.
That was
Leicester.
an Eric Dyer,
terrible performance. But with a clear 59.4% of the vote, losing 6-1 to Newcastle was the obvious choice. Daniel Levy, your losers trophy is in the post, because clearly you picked the team that day. I mean, there is a slide for it, but yeah, we don't want to see that.
Jesus, do we have to see that?
Yeah, sorry about that. Next up, some comic relief. And this, I know this will be
what we've been doing so far.
I know this will be a
yeah, exactly.
Category, a contentious, hard-fought category. And I have to say, it is a very split category, this next one. But we're going to go to what's the best
category?
stadium meal of the season. So do let us know. There's 150 odd of you watching. Please tell us your favourite meal at the stadium. And HG's gone already. He smuggles a sandwich in, so don't ask him. And why? DaveO, obviously, you're living in Australia. It's fair to say you're probably not a regular, but what food impressed you most at the stadium? Let me talk you through the nominees for the best food at the stadium. There was the smashed olive pizza. Craig is very much a fan of that. The chicken katsu burger, a particular favourite of mine. Sausage roll, a staple of any football ground, and the Tottenham pie. There's a chicken house meal or donuts, which, isn't just describing our defence. Sorry, the burrito didn't make the burrito, the fish and chips, the burger, they didn't make the shortlist. That is the shortlist. So that's what people have voted on. There's a lot of responses for this and a lot of commentary. DaveO, favourite snack at the stadium?
Well, my only appearance at the stadium last season was doing the NFL tour, which I was delighted to get an email about a week before I arrived from Australia that the stadium would be kitted out for NFL and would take up a certain percentage of my tour. But hey ho, so I'm looking at the choices of something I didn't eat.
Steve Diver was petitioning for a Tunnel Club platter to be in there, but unfortunately, it's not for the masses.
Yeah, the man of the people has voted once more. So I've never liked donuts. Sorry, everyone. I've never liked donuts. So I'm going to go for the Tottenham pie because it's some symbolic metaphor for what our club is mixed into a pie. What kind of ingredients would go in a Tottenham pie? Disappointment.
You always fed a pie.
Well, I think this one, to be honest, this season, humble pie. Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, my personal favourite is the katsu burger. I think it's an underrated classic. Very good value for money, quite big. But let's. HG's not here to ask, so we'll ask him when he gets back.
Well, Jack was at the stadium this season, so he's had a meal.
Go on, Jack. Far away.
I actually funded Levy by buying things for other people. I didn't really buy much for myself. I ended up buying some people some Cokes or Coca-Colas. I ended up buying some people some neck oil, Beavertown beers. I bought Alex Davies a sausage roll. I think
There
I
you go.
spent like a total of actually like £5 on myself, while spending a lot of money on other people at the stadium. So that's exactly what Levy intended. From what I was looking at on menus and from what I've seen from the choices, I would say the chicken katsu burger, that looks, I never tried it, never even saw it, but that is
Iconic.
definitely impressive to try to make. I've made a katsu chicken myself, and it is not particularly easy. It's a bunch of extra steps that are kind of unnecessary. So impressive.
It's yeah. I mean, there's lots. What I would say is there's lots of choice at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, otherwise known as White Hart Lane to us. There is lots of choice, but we break it down into these. It's a very, very split discussion. So the winner only had 30% of the vote, 24.4, 16.9, 14.4, and 10%. So let's talk about them all. So on 10% was the Donuts, apparently. New appearance at the stadium this season.
Has a better season than Clement Longley, the
Had a better
donut.
season than Clement Longley or Eric Dyer. They're actually quite tasty. I have tried one. And one ended up on the floor, but that's another story completely. So there we go. With 14.4% of the vote was the Tottenham Pie. Rumor has it Levy, put special ingredients into it to brainwash you. 14.4% on the pie. There we go. 16.9% said the chicken katsu burger, so not a winner for the masses, but I did enjoy that. 24% said the smashed olive pizza, which is Craig's favourite meal at the stadium. So I think Craig just voted for that a lot. And the winner is the sausage roll. Now it's also up for the best signing of the season. They changed the formulation this season, so there we go. So we've got the most improved meal of the season yet is the sausage roll. So there we go. HG, any surprises that the sausage roll won?
Don't care. Not football related. Move on.
I love it.
Can I ask one question? Why wasn't the smoked salmon bagel on the options? Given the heritage of the club.
Why were you so against the? You can't be against the donut and then all of a sudden be for the bagel. It's a very similar sort of, foundation, the bagel and the donut.
Listen, when the Shabbat alarm goes off in your area tonight, go outside and go smoke
in a similar neighborhood.
Go. Well, yeah, I suppose that's. Anyway, we're going on a tangent. We'll stop there. Me and you'll take this offline.
There was a question. There was a question in the survey. It wasn't multiple choice, but the best moment of the season. So despite all the awfulness, what was the best moment for you? And we asked people to describe the best moment of the season, and I will read some out. Meeting Cam for the first game for his first game at the stadium. There you go, Cam. Shout out to you. I can see you in the chat.
That's your best moment, meeting Cam.
Someone's best moment, not mine. Beating Marseille away. Obviously. Beating. I'll read this one out. This one's quite good. Beating those smug City fucks. So there we go. Lucas's goal versus Leeds. Son's hat-trick versus Leicester. Lucas sending off at Leeds. Irony. Triple captain Kane in the fantasy football last game of the season to storm the mini league. The Gooners losing 3-0 to Brighton. There's some good responses in here. But guys, what was your favourite moment of the season? I'll go first, if I may. So it was the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium announcing through Levy Enterprises Limited that the F1 have partnered with Tottenham Hotspur, two of my favourite brands, to reveal a new karting track in the South Stand. So I mean that's my moment of the season. I thought that was epic. DaveO, over to you.
That's your moment of the season. That says it all, doesn't it?
You'll hate mine.
Oh
Tongue in
God.
cheek.
I didn't realise that we were doing irony for this one. My best moment of the season, which I think I talked about twice already, is again genuinely Kane breaking Jimmy Greaves' record. So yeah, Jimmy Greaves was my late father's favourite player, and he always talked about him a lot. And for Harry Kane to do that, I think it was a special moment for me. And it's great to see that someone, as I said, someone who I thought was a little bit of a Mark Falco at the start, developed into a great player that he was. Conte's rant was good as well. But, I'm being genuine about this straight down the line. Kane, again, breaking the record. Now over to the comedic moments.
We're all looking at Jack now.
Come on, Jack. You built this up, mate.
Yeah. I was gonna say I'm
Jack.
never used for any sensibility, so we'll let HG finish.
I mean, this
the
is a
logic.
good one. This is a good one, right? Arsenal bottling the league.
Yeah, that genuinely.
I mean,
would
his
actually
favourite
say with
Tottenham
all
moment, but we'll allow it. Yep.
with all seriousness, that really is actually. Hill Messi's stunning performance at Selhurst Park. I think the Crystal Palace fans are still left remembering such performance. The likes, I think a friend of the pod, if I'm not mistaken, via John. What's his? I'm even forgetting him. Is it Tompkins or who is his face? Who's a long time Crystal Palace player, is still looking for Hill Messi at Selhurst Park with the way he was turning him. I would say Højbjerg's screamer against Marseille was still very fun. And then Emerson's goal against West Ham, like I said, was one of my moments of the season because I think it solidified that Emerson is actually not as bad as everybody scapegoated him to be, because I've never seen a player met with more hatred and more quick hatred in the space of very few months than I've ever seen. And the guy to turn around and sort of repel that in such manner was quite impressive. So I think West Ham for Emerson was pretty big one for me.
Okay, HG.
The only moment I remember getting out of my seat thinking that was brilliant to watch was Højbjerg's winner at Marseille.
Yeah,
I don't remember anything else because it was the last minute, because it made us win the group, because all those things that you thought it could mean for the second half of the season. That was probably the moment. I mean, it was fun watching Arsenal lose. It's been fun watching them try and tell everyone that they didn't bottle it, that they just faded. They just faded, which is exactly just the same thing. So it means the same thing. They bottled it under pressure. They had it in their hands and they effed it up. But yeah, from a truly Spurs only perspective, it's probably Højbjerg's winner.
I'll give you some more examples before I go to the most commented on. Obviously, there is the Conte press conference rant, the City win, the optimistic start and the curtain close. Arsenal bottling the league. Beyonce, particular highlight for someone, could be Steve Diver. I think he went every single night. Mora leaving. That was you, wasn't it, HG? Just admit it.
I can't remember what I put. It may have been that because I'm happy. I'm so happy.
Yeah. The final whistle at Leeds. Bribing the ref, VAR officials and the Premier League bigwigs to commit daylight robbery at home to Brighton. They were far better and should have won by 3.
Did you say daylight robbery or donut robbery then?
It could be either, given our categories tonight.
Correct.
Skippy versus Chelsea. I promise I didn't write that.
Right.
I didn't, honestly. And PH winners in there against Marseille to top the group. So lots of comments, but of all the comments, the one consistent theme that comes through is, of course, watching the Cheese Room live on a Friday night. No, it's Harry Kane's record breaker. Did it in style against Chelsea, being our local rivals. That was one of the few great days out to the stadium this season. Well, actually, no, I'll refer that. Like, I enjoy going to the football even when we lose, because I see my mates have a bit of Levy's food, and it's generally a nice day out.
So you renewed your season ticket then?
Oh yeah, of course I did. I just like a bit of drama.
You're changing the sausage roll next season.
But yeah, that was the most commented, was Harry Kane breaking Jimmy Greaves' record, and no surprise whatsoever.
Nice.
the YouTube Cheese Room Pundit of the Season.
Now,
is
shits and
next up.
giggles, we've got to say who we voted for, and don't be diplomatic.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say something first of all, which is I remember our first show on YouTube. So Cheese Room's been going a while. The podcast is great. Check it out. Myself and HG started out on YouTube. What was it? 3 years ago now?
No idea.
I reckon.
I know we were in the Conference League, so whenever that was, because
Not that long ago, really.
we're talking about. Some
No,
of
you were starting at Euros. The Euros 2020, but it was 2021. It's 2 years.
Okay. And look, it's come miles. We've got a fantastic rotation of guests, all of which are nominated in the Presenter of the Year. But a massive thank you to everybody who presents on the Cheese Room and makes the channel what it is, both on podcast and on YouTube. Shout out to John, who does all the behind the scenes stuff, the organising, the booking guests in. He is Mr. Planner. Absolutely massive thanks to you. A massive shout out to JP, who not only called Ange in 2 months before anyone was talking about it, but does all our show graphics. DaveO does the run sheets that I ignore week in, week out. And look, everybody, all of you, just thanks for making the Cheese Room an absolutely fantastic place to spend our time in the evenings, because I firmly believe this channel is one of the best, one of the most balanced channels around. So a massive thanks to all of you who make it.
DaveO.
And that's my acceptance speech for Pundit of the Season. HG, as the reigning Pundit of the Season, winner of last week's award, how did you cast your vote, and are you ready to relinquish your crown?
I never came on last year's show when you announced it. So I probably now want to say thank you to all those people who erroneously voted for me 12
Late
months ago.
acceptance speech.
I don't really know why you did. I suspect it said more about everyone else than it did about me. But for this year, YouTube Pundit of the Season, I obviously, because there's no rules against it, I voted for myself.
Hey, well done, mate. And how long did it take you to make that decision, HG?
I mean, I thought about whether I should or whether I shouldn't. And then I thought about who deserved it. And it definitely wasn't me this year, that's for sure. But Pundit of the Season, I'll back myself. I was on Ghanaian TV, I'll have you know. So,
and who did Mother HG vote for?
we'll wait 5 seconds and she'll tell us.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
She's probably not watching anymore.
Oh,
She's probably reading some
we'll
nonsense.
never know.
Daily Mail nonsense.
Love
I'm sure she's
Island
reading
or
that.
something, yeah.
She's reading Hello magazine.
So I don't know who she voted for, but it wasn't me. That I do know.
Okay. DaveO, who's your money on?
So and also shout out to Gibbo as well, because he does a load of work on the socials. I think
there you go, Dave. Look.
There we go. Thank you very much, Mother HG. Thank you. There we go. Actually, we could talk about the fact that your mother voted for me and not you another time. Anyway, so basically, I want to shout out to Gibbo, who does a load of work on the socials as well.
Yeah.
And we've had some newbies come in this season. I'm not sure, Flatcap, you are a newbie this season. You may be, but great contributions.
Put him in the signing of the season category.
Exactly. Silky Smooth, radio voice, Midnight FM, Jack, the other Jack from North Carolina, has been fantastic. Becky, who I voted for last year, had another great season. But I want to give a shout out to John. One, because of all the work he does, and he does a truckload of work. He's got, obviously, like all of us, commitments outside of family commitments, work commitments. He does a truckload of work for the Cheese Room, and he's a very good host as well. And the vote goes to him. So John, you get my vote. Well done, mate, and thanks for everything you do.
There we go.
Peter Sellers.
There we go. I voted this year for Gibbo. actually.
Ah.
I voted for Gibbo because a couple of reasons, really. We went to the Glenolly evening together, and he was great with his time. Spent listening to me for 3 hours. He's a hard gig.
Was that
So I
Hoddle or
respect that.
Gibbo listening to you?
No Hoddle. So thanks for that, Gibbo. Really enjoyed the evening with him, and I've got to say he's obviously coming to hosting this year on the Cheese Room. Hosting is a tough gig, facilitating or you guys. And I think he's done absolutely fantastic, and sounds like he's from the West Country, and that accent's always made me laugh too. So he just ticks all my boxes. So this year my vote went to Gibbo.
And
but
don't forget Jack. We've got to get Jack's vote.
Knowing myself, I would have voted for myself.
I've not forgotten Jack, by the way, Dave. But thanks for facilitating me.
If I didn't vote, if in a world where I wouldn't have voted for myself, I don't really remember who I voted for, but if I'm going to guess, I would have voted for myself. If I wouldn't have voted for myself, I would have voted for the next closest thing to myself, which would have been then, I guess, David Harris. And considering there's another David Harris on this platform, which is another reason to subscribe to this channel. There are 2 different David Harrises out there on the YouTube sphere, so you can never escape a David Harris. I think I might have voted for you, David.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. It's very kind of you to say. I appreciate it. So there we go. Mother HG and Flat Cat Jack. That is my constituency. They're my people. There we go. I will go forth and now do something.
Conquer.
Yeah.
The reveal. I mean, it's a slightly self-indulgent reward, but I think it's just a bit of fun, really. So
Exactly.
No one's putting that on their mantelpiece, are they? So
no one took it seriously last year. I'm not sure they're going to take it seriously again this year.
No,
absolutely not. However, if I give you the rundown, so with 9% of the vote was Gibbo, with 10.03% of the vote, last year's champion HG. With 12.1% of the vote. Oh, God, I can't even see who that is. Oh, yes, I can. It's...
Just pick out any name, caller. It doesn't matter if it's not the winner.
Trying to work out who it is. Google Forms is not playing ball. I think it's John. So that's great. With 12.7% of the vote is me. I'm humbled. And that's 3rd place. We're getting serious now. With 15.2% of the vote, it's DaveO.
My constituency, my people. God bless
Is
you.
it
All.
second 2 years running, Dave-O?
No, I think Diver voted for me last year, and that was about it. And Diver's definitely not voted for me this year. We know that.
Look how much you've grown. And with 27.9% of the vote, trouncing. She's not here to accept her award tonight, but she sent this video message. It's Becky. No, she didn't. She couldn't be asked, but she will be back on the show very soon. Becky, thanks for being on the Cheese Room. You've won the award of the
teachers make the best pundits.
Season. Yeah.
2 years running. Teachers win it. That's interesting, isn't it?
It does seem like it. Yeah. So Becky wins the vote, which means Becky, you have to do some more hosting next season. You have to be on more regularly because the Cheese Room loves you. So congratulations on the award, and DaveO.
And who voted for Becky last year? Hey, I did. Sorry. What did you say?
I was just being nice. I was just saying a very well done 2nd place. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You've risen through the ranks of the Cheese Room. You are now with the Illuminati. Fantastic. Enjoy 2nd place.
I got 2nd place in the Fantasy League 2 years running. I am Poch, after all.
So look, we'll be going an hour and 50 minutes more or less. Please all do smash that like button. We're going to be back on Monday. We've got a great show lined up for you. We've got loads of shows lined up for you, loads of content. We're going to be analysing tactics of Ange. We're going to be talking about signings, transfer updates all through the season. Jack, could you do us a special show breaking down Ange Ball?
Definitely not. I'm probably the least qualified person, I think, for that. You're probably maybe trying to get
I'm
new
getting
bits out of
confused.
JP or DaveO. I
I
think
thought
it's
you
your
were
best shot.
JP. I saw the
No.
hat. I thought, yeah.
No, I'm more of a flat cap, less of a snapback, or 5 panel.
There we
kind of
go.
guy.
He loves it.
Yeah.
He loved the hat. Okay, we'll get JP to do it, but we will have what's Ange going to do, who his sign is going to be, what are we going to do with tactics. We'll get the view of the Aussies. We seem to have the most Aussies of any podcast in the Spurs stratosphere, so clearly well positioned for this moment. We want to thank all of you at home for watching tonight and this season, because drawing a line to the season, it's been miserable, but we've got hope. We've got Ange Ball. We've got our Tottenham back, maybe. DaveO, thanks for joining me tonight.
Thank you, and well done, everyone. We've got through this turgid season. We've got through it with our sanity intact. Well done, caller. It's a tough job hosting. And it's a tough job hosting. I wouldn't want to do it, and I've never done it, and that's why. So thank you, and thanks everyone to vote for me, and have a lovely weekend.
Yeah, thanks very much, David. I feel like we've drawn a line under this season now, HG, and we can move on clean.
That's right. Tomorrow's the Champions League final. I am actually wanting City to win that, which is weird. But
so am I, because it means it might hasten Pep's departure.
No, because I think Gundogan will leave if they win, and then I think he'll go and play in Spain or wherever, which would be good because he's one of their better players. But I just the way they play football this year, Inter Milan are a bit not that great. So I think usually I want the better team to win, but I expect that to be City tomorrow. So.
Okay, and Flat Cap Jack, thanks again. It's always an absolute pleasure to have you on from Brooklyn.
Thanks for another great season. I think it was around this time last year that I had my first ever Cheese Room appearance. I think it was like a week or two ago, I think was the official first time. So we've come a full season all in one piece.
I'm glad you're tracking the anniversary of your cheese.
I had to look back. Yeah, I think it was sometime around this time. Yeah.
Good stuff. And thanks again for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe, become a patron, become a YouTube channel member. There's many ways to support the Cheese Room. And thanks if you do already. And until next time, Monday, come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs. In the Big Ange we trust.
Come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs.